Hello and welcome to Leeds Student Television. My name is Erin and today I am joined with the Equality and Liberation Officer in LEU, Haryati. How are you?
I'm alright, thank you.
Good.
A bit nervous.
Don't be nervous, do not worry. Now for anyone who doesn't know, could you just briefly explain your role here in LEU and what you do around the union itself?
Right, so as a Equality and Liberation Officer, I think my main job is to make sure that everything that the union does, we're looking at how inclusive we are and how we can make things more welcoming to students who are very diverse. And then in terms of some of the things we do, maybe in the back office, the provisions that we have for students, the kind of things we do for students as well. And for me, it's always about fitting in that liberation theme in the things that we do as much as we can. I know it's a bit hard. And then the other thing I do is when I go for meetings with the university representative, it's just telling them, it's like, what are you doing in terms of inclusion and equality.
So the country's current economic crisis is a worry among students here in Leeds and is a continuous issue that they face on a daily. Can you please tell us what the union is actually doing to help the students who are particularly struggling?
Okay, so I know this was a thing that we did that just ended recently. We was introduced piloting the free breakfast scheme. So for that scheme, we provide up to 200 breakfasts to students, and then we improved the microwave provision. I don't know whether you've been around downstairs at Union Square by the dance studio. So we improved the number of microwave there, so students can basically bring their food in and save money but not spending it on food. And then we're offering, for those who don't bring stuff to eat, there's a saver menu and meal deal that we're offering in our outlet, so that will give you like nutritious food for a little less money than what you would normally pay for before. Then it's basically encouraging students to use the spaces we have, so the electric socket, the showers, like a warm space that maybe you might do at home but you can come here instead. And then I think we're encouraging, our help and support team is actually helping students to assess the assistance fund that the university has, so we're actually helping students, like how you do this kind of thing. And then in terms of lobbying work, we are working with project with the university for the Student Money Week, and then also lobbying them about making especially in terms of financial assistance that they have to make it more accessible. I think that's kind of like a brief thing that we're doing. I mean, there's a lot of other stuff but then that's not my remit. But the other eggs are doing things that's not connected to what I'm doing. And one of the things that we're doing is writing letter to our MP to actually consider, when you talk about cost of living, remember there are students and include us in those discussions.
That's brilliant, That seems like a lot as well that they're doing for students, because I know it's a very difficult time for a lot of people. So something I did actually want to discuss, as you mentioned, was the free breakfast scheme. You've kind of given us a bit of a run through about how it works and what students can get from it. Am I right in thinking it started just before Christmas last year?
Yeah, it ended about, last week February was, I think it was last week, was the last, because it was just a pilot,
So as it was just a pilot, is it something that the union is going to carry on in the next few months?
So this is something that we are looking at doing, because obviously because it's pilot, we need to find out what students think about it, whether it's fair. So this is something that we are working on. As to something that we might continue, it will depend on the funding we get, because there's so many things that's happening to students right now. We need to see. I mean, obviously, the ideal situation is like, yeah, a free breakfast is a thing for students, because it really helps. Because if you set up during the beginning of the day, you kind of like, you know, you're ready to take on the challenges.
I think it massively helps a lot of students, as you said, getting a good breakfast and definitely sets you up for the day and can make your work a lot more efficient and helps you function a lot better as a person, I think. So how does that directly help students? I mean, you've covered it a little bit, but could you explain it a little bit more in depth if that's okay?
I think for students who basically are worrying about like, I need to have something to eat, I don't want to be hungry during the day, that's the options like, or I don't have to skimp on, you know, save and scrimp on some of the things just so I can have like a breakfast that will keep me going for the day. I think that's like the immediate impact on student. I think the other impact that possibly is the fact that the feeling that you get that, well, the union actually think about this thing and they've got, you know, like they've got their student hat on and things like, what is it that student want? And I mean, I know this sounds kind of like not serious, but when you have free food, people appreciate it, and it's whether they can afford it or not, they still do, because it just shows that you've thought about things.
Well, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much. Hopefully this free breakfast scheme does carry on. Fingers crossed, because it is a massive help to students, and thank you for everything you've done to the union this year.